Okay, pal, you want smash mouth power and efficiency? Then here's your starting lineup. Ford F-Series, #1 for 37 years straight. Talk about a dynasty, baby. Hey, it's game time, sports fans, at the Bill Ford Tough Sales Event.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 5th edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from the lobby of First Financial Bank right here in Stephenville. I'm Kelton Weens, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to 90.5 KTRL and tarletonsports.com/listen live. Please help me in welcoming the first-year head coach of the Tarleton Texans, Misty Wilson. Coach, 3 games in the last 5 days. How do you feel?
Tired. Yeah, very tired. I think probably more physically than, actually more mentally than physically. I don't think people realize how much it takes out of you mentally to play these games.
And what about the team? How are they feeling right now?
I think the same. I think, they train year round to be able to handle these situations physically, and I think physically they're actually okay, but mentally they are kind of fatigued.
Well, Coach, let's jump right in it. On Saturday, you traveled to Commerce, Texas, took on the Lions at Texas A&M Commerce. You end up dropping that game 84-77, and you were up by 11 points at the half, and Commerce scores 57 points in the second half, and end up dropping that game. Give us your general thoughts on that one.
Well, the game plan going in, they were shooting 28% from the three-point line for the season. They were 0-13 the game before. So, we were going to make them beat us from the three-point line, and they did. They beat us from the three-point line, and, we went to a zone there pretty early in the first half and had some success in that, and, got some stops, and then they just came out that second half, and, we're just hitting those threes, and it didn't seem to matter. Even when we went to man, they were able to find those threes in transition.
Did they do anything different offensively, or was it just the basketball god saying, here you go, here's threes?
Well, I don't know if there's a basketball god, but no, I think that they just shot well, and once they hit those first two, they had a lot of confidence, and when good things happen, it kind of trickles down. When bad things happen, same thing, it kind of trickles down. And for them, good things were happening, and those shots were falling.
What can you do as a coach at that point whenever they just rattle off a bunch of threes?
You just have to pick your poison and hope they miss a few and get some rebounds, and you have to be able to capitalize on the other end. And that's what we weren't able to do, is put the ball in the basket at the other end.
Raven McGrath, really your shining star on offense in that game, career high 22 points. She played very well.
She did. Raven's, as I've said it before, she's just, all heart and grit and toughness, and she's not the idea basketball player, but she gets every ounce of what she can out of her talent. And
Coach, what did you tell the team after that loss? I thought your answer on Saturday was very good.
I actually told them that one was on me, that one was my fault, not theirs. We kind of picked our poison and got burned by it, and that was my coaching decision. And so I just told them, they played well enough to win, and I didn't adjust.
Coach, moving on to Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, you had a big game against Texas Women's to start the second half of conference play. Just 20 hours after you finished your last game is whenever you had to play Texas Women's. But you said that your team was tired but good, and you ended up winning that one in overtime. Give us your thoughts.
Again, that back-to-back, you have to do it in the tournaments, in the conference tournament and then in the NC2A. And it's not so much the back-to-back that's so hard, it's the effects of the back-to-back that kind of linger. Right. And I think we saw a little bit of that last night. But that game, Kathy actually said at one point in the game, she said, I can't feel my legs. That was in like the first 2 minutes. And I was like, oh no. But, it was just, it's just, they're tired. But, when you have that kind of focus, they knew they were going to do it, and they were focused on doing that. And, they came out and they fought so hard. It was a very physical game.
Coach, in that game, Kathy Thomas goes down with an injury with several minutes left in regulation. And for this team, we know it's not the MO of this team, but how easy could it be to say, well, Kathy Thomas, our leading scorer, has just gone down. We'll get him next time.
And I think a lot of people, probably even in the stands, thought that. But, you can't ever count this team out. And again, the toughness and the grit that we were talking about with Raven, a lot of our girls have that. And, they're going to continue to fight. Kids like Bailey and Carly and Pac, they're going to continue to fight. And I think that's what we did, is we just continued to kind of grind away. and came out with the win.
It seemed to me late in that Texas women's game, especially in overtime, you get 9 points from the free throw line in overtime of that women's game, and that really ended up being the big difference. But it seems like one of the hardest things to do is to make free throws when it's a close game, because all the attention is on you. But again, toughness prevails.
It does, and it was really amazing, because I thought for Super Bowl Sunday, on a Sunday, of course, at 2 o'clock, I thought we had a really good crowd at Wisdom Gym, considering everything. And but when they were shooting those free throws, you wouldn't have thought there was a soul in the gym. It was just silent, and I thought, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but evidently it's good, because they ended up knocking them all down.
Coach, in that Texas women's game, your assistant, Chris Marks, talked about it at the halftime, but your players had to make a lot of outside shots, outside the paint. What was Texas women's doing defensively, or was that you switching things up on offense?
Well, they just, they kind of pack it in. They don't really get out and pressure the ball too much. They just kind of pack it in, and they play kind of halfway off, halfway on. And it's almost like a matchup zone is what their defense looks like. And so you've got to hit a few outside shots and maybe pull some of those defenders out so that you can get some more stuff inside, and I think we did that.
Fairly decent offensive execution for you on Sunday. 15 assists, 9 players scored in the first half, and 10 players scored during the game. In terms of distribution, is this where you want your team to be right now?
It is, and the first time we played them, that was probably, to me, that was the key of the game, that the thing that we did not do very well was we didn't find the open person. We had open people, and we didn't find them, and we watched that on film, and we showed them, hey, look at these, easy shots that we would have had if we had just found the open person. And so that was kind of a focus going in, and they did a good job of that.
I want to talk about last night, first of all, let's talk about this. I heard the Texas women's, their bus got stranded here in Erath County. Did you know that?
I did not.
So I was going to ask you if you went and helped, so obviously not.
No, I did not go help, because I did not know.
Well, let's move on to last night. You play at Midwestern State, and you lose that one 72-57. What were the things that really stuck out to you in that Midwestern game?
Turnovers. I think that was the one difference in the game is, we shot ourselves in the foot in that one, and that goes back to that mental fatigue, and we knew that might be a factor, but we were hoping that if we really focused on not turning the ball over, that was one of the keys on offense, was take care of the ball and value every possession. But to me, that was the only difference. I mean, you take away 6 of those turnovers, and that's the difference of the game. It's 12 to 15 points.
Coach, you mentioned last night that you felt like it was a real lack of aggression. You started the game out very strong, and then Midwestern State came back. Do you still feel that way this morning?
I think, yeah, and my coaching staff and I talked, and we all felt like they were just a little bit flat, especially for that game, and the rivalry that it is. And again, it's not so much the back-to-back right then as it is the lingering effects of that. And I think we played 4 games in 7 days, and that really takes its toll.
Kathy Thomas comes back, leads the team in scoring with 11 points last night. Even though Kathy, the injury was not as bad as expected, that can still kind of get into your head a little bit coming off that injury. How big was that for KT to have 11 last night?
It was big, and I was pretty cautious with her, and I kind of changed the rotation as far as my substitution patterns and everything, because I didn't want to leave her in there too long and run the risk of her re-injuring it or getting tired or hurting. And at one point she was like, just let me go. And because I guess I was just pulling her in and out, and I was just trying to be real cautious, and so it was good to hear her say, I'm good to go, and I'm full speed, so just trust me to tell you when I'm not. So
Coach, we talked to Coach Mike Dacus on the other side of the break. What does he add to your coaching staff?
He adds a little bit of humor.
And some height to the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, a little height. But no, he's coached for so long and had so much success. He's got a lot of knowledge. And there was actually a set play that we threw in against Texas Women's where we were kind of struggling. And he gave that back to me in December. And we just kind of threw it in. We had never worked on it, threw it in, and I think hit a 3 off of it the first time we ran it. So it's it's great to have somebody like that I mean, you can ask him a question about anything, and it's like he goes through his little Rolodex, of basketball knowledge. So, yeah, he's a great addition to the staff, and we really enjoy him. The girls really enjoy him. So.
Well, thanks, Coach. That's going to do it for this first segment of the Coach Misty Wilson Radio Show. When we come back in 1 minute, we will chat with Texan assistant coach Mike Dacus. This is the Coach Misty Wilson Radio Show on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. And welcome back to First Financial Bank on the South Loop in Stephenville. This is the Coach Misty Wilson Radio Show, and I'm the voice of the Tarleton State Texans, Kelton Waynes. I'm now joined by Texan assistant coach Mike Dacus. Coach, great to have you with us today. This is not your first rodeo on the radio, is it?
No, back in the day, when I was down at Navasota, we had a weekly radio show, so it was every Monday we came on. So I did that for about 15 years or so, I've been on a few times.
Well, welcome back to the radio for sure, Coach. First of all, this is your second or your 40th season.
42nd season.
42nd season at coaching. Reflect on it for us. What are some of the big lessons that you've learned over your time?
I think when I first started out, I wanted to emulate popular at that time, try to copy like Bobby Knight or whoever it happened to be, or Bear Bryant. I think over the years you learned that you need to do your own style. And
did you ever throw a chair?
No, I broke some clipboards, but I never threw a chair. And I think most important thing, is kids are kids, and they're going to respond to positive things more than negative things. I think that's the one thing I've learned.
This is you've been at Tarleton State for a little while. What's different about this team as compared to, say, last year's team?
Well, last year's team, I think we had 3 seniors that were leading scorers, and they had 2 post players that were fairly good size, Kara Wright and Shanae Lawrence. They were good back to the bucket players, and this year's a little different, and our post players kind of undersized a little bit, and they do a better job facing up, and I think that's the main difference.
Coach, Coach Wilson and I have talked about this a little bit throughout the season, but the last 5 games, Tarleton State averaged 45 rebounds heading into last night. I know that rebounding is a team effort, but that's got to make you feel warm inside, because whenever you think of rebounds, first thing, post players.
It does make me feel good, because I know how hard they work in practice rebounding. I know how hard they play during games rebounding, and they are undersized, but like you said, they go amongst them. They go in there and try to block them out, and they'll fight them. I think that's the most important thing, is the effort. They have a lot of heart.
Coach, I want to talk about Epaku Iwobi for a little bit. Most nights she is the smallest player down low between both your team and the other team, but she is the second best rebounder in the Lone Star Conference. What does she do particularly well?
She plays hard. Now, I think they list her at 5'11", but she's 5'9", and so she's really not that large. And so, but she goes in and she'll fight every play. She does not take a play off, and I think she has a lot of heart. And really, rebounding is just effort, is all it is, especially on the offensive end. And so, I think I've told her anybody can block out, get a board, but that offensive rebound is the one it takes a lot of work. She does a good job of getting by her people and going to the glass.
Coach, things change over time. Sports is certainly no exception, but I think the 2 biggest innovations that changed the way that sports are played are the forward pass in football and the 3-point line in basketball. You've been there, done that before the 3-point line and afterwards. How has it changed the game of basketball since it was invented?
Well, before the 3-point line, we used to, my philosophy was pound it inside, pound it inside, pound it inside, and if we got a mid-range jumper, that's okay. When the 3-point line first came out, I said, we're not going to shoot the 3, it's too far out.
Right.
And but as time goes on, I said, hey, that's a pretty good weapon, and we still try to go inside, but we also, the 3-point play will open up the floor for you, and you're able to get the ball inside, and it's a big momentum swing if you can hit a couple threes. And now, I don't know who doesn't shoot the 3. Everybody shoots the 3 from outside. Post players, guards, everybody.
How did that transition go back in the 80s whenever they implemented that line, just in general?
In general, it was the older coaches who'd been doing it a while were kind of hesitant to put that in, but the young guys out of college or didn't have that much experience, they saw it as a good thing, and they shot the ball. And I think in the TBC, the Texas Association Basketball Coaches, the first year they had a 3-point line contest, overall all the state. I think the winner shot about 100 shots, hit about 40, and that's for the year. And so you see how far it's come since then. That's not very much shooting 3, that's that, but it's come a long way.
Other changes to the game of basketball, is it more physical or less physical now?
Much more physical. Not just men, not just women. Both of them very much more physical than they were. In high school, used to be they wouldn't let you put your hands on them, wouldn't let you touch them very much, and now it's pretty much they can get on you. And they'll call stuff outside, but they let it go inside. That's where it's more physical. I mean, it's pushing and you can hardly pass the ball inside without getting hacked a little bit or bodied up on, and they let it go.
Coach, we see this a lot with defensive backs in football, where you kind of have to have this certain arrogance to you a little bit, because you know you're going to get beat, but you have to try to get in the other player's head. Is there a particular attitude that it takes to play post whenever you're just grinding down low against other vending machines down there?
You got to be mentally tough. I think you got to just keep going and keep going. And each play, you got to keep after them and be mentally tough enough to do that. Eventually, if you'll do that, you'll wear down your opponent, and that's a philosophy we try to get across to them.
Coach, you played basketball at Texas Wesleyan in the early 70s. Talk about your playing days a little bit.
I played the post position. I was kind of undersized myself at 6'3" or 6'4", so I was undersized in that aspect. We had some games, of course. We were in the old NAIA, called the Big State Conference, and we did go down one time and play Texas A&M down at College Station and the G. Riley White Coliseum, the old Coliseum there. And probably the game I remember most is that game, not because of what happened in the game. What happened as we came out of the tunnel. They have a dog named Reveille. Yeah. And the dog got loose and bit me on the ankle as I was running on the floor. So that's my most memorable college thing I remember more than anything.
Coach, moving on, I want to ask you about two things. First of all, you wear some amazing ties to basketball games. Where do you get those?
My grandkids and kids give those to me depending on where I'm coaching. They'll find one and they'll just bring it to me and try to match up the colors of the team. So,
second, Coach, the bus is built for a particular size of person, and I am about at the limit of that size of person, and you're way taller than I am. You know, it's a struggle for you on the bus.
I have a hard time getting comfortable. I know some of the players bring sleeping bags and lay them on the floor. I thought about bringing an air mattress and putting it on the floor. I just cannot get comfortable on that bus. I hate that bus. That's one reason I quit coaching full time a couple years ago, that yellow dog. But Greyhound's much better, but I still hate the bus.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Coach, and good luck the rest of the season. We'll talk to you on Saturday.
All right, thank you for having me.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back in 1 minute. This is the Coach Misty Wilson Radio Show on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. Welcome back to the Coach Misty Wilson Radio Show from the lobby of First Financial Bank in Stephenville. Please join me in welcoming back the first-year head coach of the Texans, Misty Wilson. I'd like to thank Domino's for providing our pizza for our live audience here today. Time for us now to run through the Lone Star Conference schedule from the last week. First of all, Coach, on Saturday, January 31st, Angelo State beats at Texas A&M Kingsville, 58-45 in Kingsville. That was the first conference win of the season for Angelo State. How big was that for this program right now?
Like I said, it's big. You know, once you get that first one, maybe you can kind of get rolling, and you know, that series actually means a lot. It means who's going to get in and who's not going to get in to the Lone Star Conference tournament. So, both teams have something to play for there.
Coach, then on Saturday, West Texas A&M traveled to Eastern New Mexico and beat the Zias by 51 points, 102-51. In Lawton, Midwestern State beats Cameron 79-70. Last night around the conference, Eastern New Mexico hands Texas A&M Kingsville their 20th consecutive loss going back to last season with a 57-53 win in Kingsville. Coach, how would you keep a team motivated? Hopefully you never have to do this, but how would you keep a team motivated after they've lost 20 straight?
I don't know. I think at that point, you would have to just be playing for pride, and what kind of mark, what kind of person do you want to be remembered as? Somebody that came out and just kind of gave up, or somebody that continued to fight. And there's a lot of parallels to basketball and life, and that's something you could use in life.
In Lawton, Cameron gets back to their winning ways, a 75-69 win over Texas A&M Commerce. West Texas A&M with a 67-50 win over Angelo State in San Angelo. Coach, this weekend you are home to face Cameron at Wisdom Gym. Cameron will be coming off a game tonight against Texas Women's at Lawton, Oklahoma. The Aggies will have a little less rest than you do. Is that to your advantage in this one?
Probably not. With the style of play that they have, and actually the last time we played them, they were coming off of the same thing, that back-to-back, and they played that back-to-back, and then they turned around and played us. So I think they played Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. So, it's, like I said, it's tough to do, and it has its lingering effects, but you can certainly play through it, and you can be successful.
Jasmine Robinson, we know what she can do. She had 21 points the last time these two teams played. Are you changing anything up on Robinson in the next game?
We're still talking about some different things and thinking on some different things, and we're going to watch some more film and maybe pick up on some tendencies. But yeah, we've got to do a better job on her, and she's really good. And if she is going to have 21 points, then we've got to limit some other people, and so that might be kind of what our mindset is going into it.
Then you stay at home and play Angelo State on Wednesday, February 11th, and you look for the sweep against the Rambles. In that game, you beat them on their own floor back on January 7th, 81-71. But this is a team with a conference win now and a little bit of confidence, and that's got to plague teams that they play going ahead.
Well, and it's different. We played them pretty early in the conference season last time we played them, and their roster has changed a lot. So. I haven't seen them on film against anyone else yet, because we've got to get this Cameron game out of the way first. But I figure they're probably playing a little different style. When you lose two really good post players, you might not go inside as much. You might look to maybe get a little more penetration. So they might look a little different, so it might even be a different game.
Since the last time you played them, Jasmine and Jackie Patterson have both left the team, and I understand Jasmine Caston has also left the team as well. How would you as a coach be able to handle that kind of transition if you're in Kayla Petrie's shoes?
It would be tough, especially considering the role that they played, on the team. They were a big part of the scoring, and I think there were even some games where all three of them started. So that's a pretty big transition, and that's probably something that should be addressed early and maybe taken care of early in the season.
Finally, Coach, you caught the men's game last night. For a defensive person like yourself, the defense put up by both teams really had to make you feel a little warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, it was impressive, and I think both teams scored on their opening offensive possession, and then after that it was like. Just
where'd the buckets go?
Yeah, it really slowed down, and but that's what you have to do. If you can't score, you got to be able to stop people, and that's what Tarleton was able to do, and they did a good job of it.
Huge crowd last night at DL Egan Coliseum. It got pretty crazy in there.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because the crowd was pretty lame most of the game, I thought, and when it got to 50-48, they kind of came alive,
Right.
And. But yeah, I think the mascot was pretty frustrated that he couldn't get anybody to stand up before 50-48. So.
And you're not going to lose any sleep over that.
No, I'm certainly not.
Well, when we come back after our minute break, we will have announcements and giveaways for our live audience. This is the Coach Misty Wilson radio show on the Tarleton Sports Network, presented by the North Texas Ford Dealers. Welcome back to the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from First Financial Bank in Stephenville. Again, I'm Kelton Weens with Texan basketball head coach Misty Wilson. Time now for some giveaways for our live audience here at First Financial Bank. Our first winner is Brandon McRory. Congratulations, Brandon. Gonna flip the card, and he's got a First Financial shirt. Congratulations, Brandon.
I think he's won before.
Has he won? Brandon, have you won before? Congratulations, you won again. Next one, Charles Velasquez. Charles Velasquez, all right. Flip the card, and he wins a Tarleton State hat. Congratulations, Charles. And finally, Don Jones. Congratulations, Don.
I'm sure that's what he needs, more Tarleton stuff.
Imagine he's lacking. All right, and he wins a Tarleton basketball shirt. Congratulations, Don Jones. Thanks to Domino's Pizza for providing the pizza for our live audience here today. I'd like to remind everyone the Coach Lon Reisman radio show is on Fridays. That's tomorrow from noon to 12:30 at Bruner Motors at the corner of Lillian and the South Loop. That one's on 90.5 KTRL and on tarletonsports.com/listen live. Join the voice of the Tarleton Texans, Casey Hogan, in the 27th year head coach of the 19-2 Tarleton State Texans from Bruner Motors. And from now until February 28th, fans, you can purchase tickets to the Lone Star Conference Tournament in Allen on March 4th through the 7th. All tournament passes are discounted. While if you buy a session pass, you get a free Tarleton State t-shirt, but you have to buy them at the Wisdom Gym ticket office through February 28th. Or you can call and pay via credit card at 254-968-1832. Congratulations to Coach Julie Mata and the Tarleton State softball team, as the Texans are now 2-0 on the year with 2 season-opening wins over Southwestern Oklahoma State on Monday at the Tarleton Softball Complex. The next games for Tarleton will be this weekend in Commerce, Texas, at the Lion Classic, with 2 games against both Southern Nazarene and Northeastern State. The Tarleton's Texan baseball team has begun their season, and they are playing right now at Minute Maid Park, the home of the Houston Astros, against Winona State. After today's game, the Texans continue tomorrow against St. Mary's, Saturday against Henderson State, and Sunday against Arkansas Tech. Finally, congratulations to head coach Kerry Fowler and the Tarleton Texan football team with the addition of their newest 32 signees who committed to Tarleton State yesterday to play football for the Texans. Again, the next broadcast of Texan basketball is this Saturday, February 7th, at home against Cameron. Tip-off against the Aggies is scheduled for 5:30 from Wisdom Gym, and the National Farm Life pregame show begins at 5:15. Coach, one last question, and it's similar to the one that I asked you last week, but the Super Bowl did not go the way that you had predicted it to go, but it was a defensive play at the end of the game.
If I was the offensive coordinator, I think it would have gone the way I predicted. And I think probably anybody in America could say that right now.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Coach. That's going to do it for our 5th edition of the Coach Misty Wilson radio show from First Financial Bank in Stephenville. I'd like to thank everyone involved with this broadcast of Tarleton Athletics. Mike Dacus for joining us earlier in the broadcast and taking us back to a different time of basketball in this country. Our producer back at the KTRL studio, Aaron Young, and our on-site engineer, Jody Lee Cottle from KWBY. Also, thanks go out to Jake Stevens and Nathan Burrell from the Tarleton Sports Information Department. Most of all, I want to thank everyone for listening, and for the first-year head coach of the Texans, I'm Kelton Weens, and we will talk to you on Saturday evening from Wisdom Gym. Thanks, and have a great day.